what is nafs work? Well, it's development of the nafs. What is the nafs? It is the self. And the self within us that is fractured, is broken, is what's needing attention. Because the heart, in some way, the qalb, right, using this terminology in Islamic medicine, Islamic psychology, and theology, the heart, the qalb, is well. The aql, when you're connected to it, the intellect, is well. The ruh is very well. The ruh is the ruh. The spirit is in the presence of God. You don't have to do much other than just connecting to it, right? But the nafs is the nafs. The nafs is a beast. The nafs can be a beast. The nafs can also be a saint. And it's in that spectrum of possibility that this work is really applicable and an imperative for all of us to take and consider well. Between the demon and the angel, between the saint and the devil, is the whole world, is every possibility on the planet and in history and in the future. Nafs work is about being able to develop the nafs through its various stages to that which is most perfect, and that which is most human, and that which is most Adamic, related to Prophet Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam, and that which is most, of course, in its perfection, Muhammadan sallallahu alayhi wasallam. How do we take our souls from being fractured, from being dissociated, from being disembodied, from being distracted from reality, from being disconnected from the body, from the felt sense, from the 5 outer and 5 inner senses? How do we take the self from that state to states of consciousness, to states of awareness, to states of self-control, right, of restraint, of temperance? The cardinal virtue here that's most perhaps applicable is iffa, temperance. How do we temper the nafs? How do we temper its desires, which are very active at the lowest stage of development? The lowest stage, of course, being al-nafs al-ammara bis-su, the nafs that commands to evil, or that compels one to evil. But, in clinical work, for those of you that have been around here for a while, I don't really like that language clinically, the nafs that commands to evil, because it may not look evil, and it may not be outwardly or in a sharia manner evil to express oneself through the ammara bis-su state. But what it will do is lead one to live in an unhealthy way and maintain unhealthy relationships and have this discongruence between the inner and the outer world. That's what the nafs does. So rather than it compelling to evil, the nafs al-ammara bis-su is really one that compels to disembodied fracture, to dissociation, to removal from reality, from living behind a mask. That is the nafs. It's the false self, right? This is what you find this language amongst the Sufi, amongst the ulama of the inner. You find that there is this idea of a false self that's taken the place of the true self, which I give to the heart. The heart is the true self. And the nafs, in its lower state, takes over the heart and takes the throne from the heart. And it is a petty tyrant. And it acts out in specific ways, and there's specific patterns and certain constellations of the ego, of the nafs, that we can begin to ascertain and work with in nafs work. But that really is what's happening. You have the qalb. You're born in the qalb, right? You're born in fitrah. كل مولود يولد على الفطرة. Every child's born in fitrah. The fitrah is in the heart. What is the fitrah? The fitrah is like your principial nature. It's like your primary balance that you're born in. You're born balanced and aligned. And then the hadith continues, and then the Jewish families will make their children Jewish, and the Christians will make their children Christian, and the Zoroastrians will make theirs Magians, the Zoroastrians. And in some way, the Muslims are supposed to create an environment for the child to maintain its access to the fitrah. But we know our families, we know our communities, and God bless our families and God bless our communities, but sometimes that does not happen. And we end up practicing some sort of cultural Islam. And we end up practicing Islam through a prism of fractured nufus, themselves not having done the nafs work, done the inner work, the developmental work. And so Islam comes out a little bit gnarly, comes out a little bit knotted, comes out a little bit distorted, right? And then we have reactions to that as little children, as little people trying to navigate the world. We're supposed to be a fitrah world, but it's not so much a fitrah world. And so what do we do when there's distortions and there's imbalances in the world? We compensate. And that is effectively how we form the nafs. The nafs is a compensatory state that forms in the wake of trauma.